Suzi Ronson, who was responsible for dyeing his hair red, ultimately creating his Ziggy Stardust alter ego. So, good morning, Suzi.
Good morning,
Lovely to talk to you. I'm sorry it's under these circumstances, and this came as a big shock to you.
It did. It did come as a shock. I'd heard that David hadn't been well, but I didn't know he was going to die. I mean, look at the body of work he's put out in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem like a unwell man.
And the worst thing is, of course, that the way these things can be broken. You were actually told by the media, phoning you up and asking for a comment.
At 3 in the morning, when I saw a United Kingdom number, I immediately thought of my daughter. And when I picked up, it was the media telling me that David had died.
That must have been a horrible
So
shock
sorry
for
to
you.
hear that. Let's look at much happier times and go back to the moment, that big change in him and in his appearance. And it was because, did you do his mum's hair?
I did his mother's hair in a local salon in Beckenham, and she introduced me to Angie, who in turn introduced me to David.
And so he came...
And that's when I met.
And he came...
Oh, no, he didn't come to the salon, no. No, I went to the home. I went to Haddon Hall.
When you saw him...
met David.
He had a photograph with a very distinct image of this sort of red hair, of what he wanted it to look like.
Exactly. We discussed it, and he said, what do you think? And everyone had long hair at that time. Mark Bolan had long hair. Everyone had long hair. I thought it was a great idea because, as a stylist, when you look at a face, I mean, David was beautiful. He was long, slim neck, alabaster skin. It was perfect for red hair, and perfect for really short hair too.
And
so we cut it off that night.
When you were doing that, I mean, there's an element of responsibility in changing something like that.
It's terrifying. I mean, I was scared to death, but I knew I could do it. I'm good at cutting hair.
Well,
I knew I could do it.
It looked amazing. They're iconic shots and remain
absolutely.
so today.
Being completely inexperienced, I kind of thought, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't expect it to take off like that. I mean, it was 1 minute we were playing to small clubs, and the next it was very large audiences. It was very exciting.
And knowing him the way that you did at that time, was he very different to the kind of man he portrayed? What was he like as a person?
Very artistic, very driven by his art, very focused on what he was doing. I mean, I think back now, it's such a shame. I mean, Mick, Woody, now David. No, not Woody, sorry. Mick, Trevor, and now David all died of cancer. Lou's gone. I mean, there's not many of us left from that era, of that intimate group around David at that time.
And what an era it was as well, because you say that... I can't imagine the lifestyle, really, for you, as a hairdresser, and then suddenly, bam, this happens. You've got something like the Beverly Hills Hotel for 3 weeks, the Plaza in New York for 2 weeks, touring the world, seeing it all, doing it all.
With a rock band. I mean, who can ask for anything better than that? It was a wonderful experience.
And of course...
I remember my boss said to me when I gave my notice in, she said, "Don't you worry about security, Suzanne." I said, "No, I'm not worried about security."
Well, in fact, actually, it did lead to a certain sense of security, because that's where you met Mick. And then that whole life started as well.
Yes, that's right. It's true.
Yeah. Well, an amazing
I'm just so sorry. They're gone. They're both gone. You know, it's so sad.
And I mean, Mick Ronson, his right-hand man, really, wasn't he? They had such a close working relationship.
He was. They did a lot of albums together, and they toured together, and, you know, yes. And at that, I think, at that moment in time, that early 70s, when David, I mean, he'd had some success with Space Oddity, but he really was launched during that period of time when Mick was with him.
And he called you...
He's left an amazing body of work, don't you think?
Yeah, without question, without question.
And when you lost Mick, he called you, didn't he, David? And he was obviously devastated.
He did. He was crying. He was crying. I wonder now, I bet he was thinking about Mick in this last, year or so. He must have thought about him, because, like him, Mick did an album, Heaven to Hull, when he was diagnosed with cancer. And look at what David did. Lazarus, look at his Black Star album. I mean, it's amazing what you can do, what some people can do, when they're dying of a terminal illness.
Would you ever have believed, all those years ago, that you'd still be talking about that red haircut now?
I would never have believed it. I mean, I often say that to people. I can't believe we're still talking about this. I can't believe that David has maintained this huge stardom. He's so famous still, so relevant, and continues to be relevant. He's always groundbreaking in his artistic abilities. Well, really, Suzi, an amazing artist.
As I said at the beginning, I'm so sorry we're talking under these circumstances. We really appreciate you you talking to us today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Suzi.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.